It's really early here at the allotment garden and I'm the only one here aside from the midgies. But you never know, it has been incredibly hot the last couple of weeks. So getting up really early in the morning or in the evening to water the garden has been really vital. Otherwise, my vegetables would just die, especially the little seedlings. And because I don't know if very many people are up here, I bring my Gardena hose trolley along with. It fits right into the boot of my car. Super easy, just plug it in and go. So there's no fights for the hose pipe. And I have a new sprayer as well. So this is going to make short work of watering the garden this morning. I'm just going to sit here amongst the chamomile. Oh, it smells incredible. Now it's not quite time to pick these flower heads. I have to wait a little bit later in the morning. So right now the petals are flat down against the stems, but in an hour or two I'll be able to pick these and take them home to dry them for tea and for beauty products. Oh, hello! See, I told you, it's early in the morning, but within that time someone else has already arrived and I've got a little friend here. So now as far as watering is concerned, chamomile is fairly hardy, but I'm going to give it a little bit of a drink, and I'm only going to be watering my really tender plants, so plants that are shallow rooted and also plants that are newly transplanted and new seedlings. I'm not going to bother watering my little apple tree or my soft fruit bushes because they're really well established and they can survive a little bit of drought. But it's my other plants, you know, like my newly planted courgettes and my radish seedlings that really need a little drink. In this bed I have kohlrabi growing at the very end and then a couple of rows of radishes. These ones here I sowed about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and actually some of them are ready to be picked. Look at that. Now with radishes, at the slightest sign of drought they'll start bolting, so setting up that flower stalk, and then the root will get really woody and hard and you'll lose the entire row. So keeping these guys really well watered is imperative in dry spells. Now with watering them, I'm coming up every day pretty much, either in the morning or the evening. This will wash off. And giving them a really good watering. So generally what I do with a short row like this is that I count to 10. So I go back and forth, 1, 2, just my method. And then at the end of 10, I feel that they have enough water. I just want to wash this up because I want to taste it right now. Now, this row here, these are newly sown, and it's even more important to keep those guys watered because they can wilt in the heat. These big plants over here, these are turnips. And I'm just gonna pull one. Oh my goodness. I think I'm gonna take that home for dinner. So these have been growing for quite a while now. I transplanted them and they don't need as much water. They're really big roots. They've got a really big water supply. But I do tend to give them a little bit of a drink once or twice a week, and I focus the watering just at the base of the plants. There's no point in actually watering the foliage because it's just going to evaporate off. My pond is my favorite feature in my allotment garden. I don't know what I would do without it, to be honest, because it attracts so much wildlife. It gives birds a little bit of a drink in this dry weather. and it just looks so pretty. It's the focal point of my garden. Do you have a pond as well? If you do, leave me a comment below and tell me a little bit about your pond and how big it is. Now, one problem with my pond is that with the sunlight, there's increased algae growth. So what I've been doing to combat it is to actually use water from the pond to do a little bit of watering and try to scoop up as much of that algae as possible and then refill the pond. Now I'm refilling it from the hose, and there might be some kind of chlorine in there, but I'm finding that it's not hurting my pond at all, just that little bit of a top up, and it evaporates off quite quickly. So I've been mainly using this kind of shower feature, which is just here, but there's also this lever on the back, and this adjusts how strong the stream is. So we're on very low right now, and as I push it, the stream gets stronger. Let's put it down at low again now. On the trigger here, there's also that little orange button, and if you press this in and then switch that little switch on, you don't have to keep pressing it in. So this could be really great for if you have a weak grip or arthritis, or you have a lot to water and your hand gets tired. Right, so let's look at the different spray features here. So we've been using the shower. So this next one here, what is this? Oh, that could be quite handy for watering seedlings. One stream, this could be quite powerful. Let's aim it over here. Yes, so that could be used for, I guess, cleaning the patio or something that won't hurt the plants. This one here, it's a very directional mist. This one here, oh, that's just an ordinary end of the hose. And then we're back to shower. Now, up until recently, I had my garlic and onions in this little bed, and I've just recently transplanted my courgettes, also called zucchini, in here. So there's 4 of them in here. Then there's 2 that are the yellow courgettes and 2 that are the patty pan type. So keeping a really close eye on them because they were a bit pampered at home, and putting them out here in the bright sunshine is a little bit of a risk. So keeping them really well watered is also imperative. Now, there's about 2 inches of mulch over top of this bed now, and that's going to lock the moisture in. So you'll notice when I water this particular plant, the water just seeps down immediately, and that is going underneath the mulch, and this stuff on top is going to keep this plant hydrated for the rest of the day. And it's also going to protect the soil organisms, and make sure that I reduce my watering. These plants are not going to need as much watering as if you were planting in a garden that didn't have a layer of mulch on top. I'm really happy to say that the purple sprouting broccoli in the center and these red Brussels sprouts here at the top have survived. You'll know from a recent video, the garden after the storm, that this bed was completely knocked over and some of the plants were pulled up. And yeah, they have recovered nicely. I'm not going to water the cabbages or the rest of the brassicas today because I watered them just recently and they won't need as much water as some of the other plants. But I'm really happy to say that some of the cabbages are starting to form heads. Look at this one here. Well, I finished watering the allotment for the morning, and I'm going to head home just now to water some of the containers that I have around the house, including the vertical planter that I have by my kitchen door, and I've put an extension on it. So Gardena have sent me another set, and I've been able to make it even taller, which means that I have even more growing space at home. But before I get there, we need to pick some peas because they're finally ready, and these plants are dripping with pea pods. Now I'm picking these for tonight's dinner, but actually they're better straight from the plant. There's nothing like fresh peas out of the pod. They're so sweet. This is one of the best things this time of the year, just coming out and doing a bit of watering and grazing. Let's taste one of these. So sweet. This is what it's all about. Well, I'm home now and I have my pickings from this morning here, and I'm just going to pop them inside so that they don't wilt in the heat. Now, I've got a little bit more watering to do around the house. So I've got the greenhouse to water, I've got a few other plants outside in pots, and I have my Gardena vertical planter. So as you recall, I planted this up in April, and at that time it just had 3 levels. And I had it planted up with just a variety of lettuces. Now I have another set, so I now have 6 different levels, and this is what they look like. And they just snap together. And I had space for at least 2 more levels, which I've already planted up. I'm not sure about putting the next level on just yet. What do you think? Do you think I should leave it at 5 or go for the full 6? Let me know as a comment below. In any case, I just fill them with composted farmyard manure and then plant the edibles inside. So with these 2 new levels, I've planted some lettuces on the top, and just down here, some basil or basil. I always get that wrong. It's pronounced differently in North America to Britain. And this is just the plants that I took from one of those supermarket pots. Contrary to what you might have read, you can actually break those apart, and those plants will actually grow on to become quite big and produce enough leaves individually as they do that massive supermarket pot. And that's what these guys are, and in the coming weeks these will get quite big, fingers crossed. Now, one thing that I've noticed with this planter, in contrast to this other one that I have here, is that it uses a lot less water, and it's my terracotta pots that are using more. And I'm having to water the strawberry pot at least once a day, if not twice. This guy, once a day to twice or every other day in this heat. And the way that I water is just really easy. It's just a little drink per pocket. And that's plenty. You can start to hear it percolating down through the levels. Now, we're all trying to reduce plastic in the garden, and this is made out of plastic, but it is such a heavy-duty plastic that it's going to last years, if not decades. So it makes sense to keep something like this because it conserves water as well. It's the single-use plastic that's a bit more of a problem. Right, now I need to get on and do a bit more watering. But first of all, I want to direct you over to the Gardena website if you want to learn a little bit more about this planter or the hose trolley or my new sprayer that I'm really happy with. And also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I release a video every Sunday and I focus mainly on gardening, but I also do some features on bees and DIY projects as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next Sunday here on the Lovely Greens YouTube channel.